And we are here with Patrick from Noise Engineering at Buchla and Friends 2025. Hey, Patrick, how you doing?
Good. This is great.
Always such a pleasure to see you and talk to you.
You too?
Why don't you show us a little bit about what you guys have got on display here?
Yeah, that'd be great. First, I'll talk about one of our most popular modules from last year that we're showing. A lot of people getting a lot of interest is the Gamut repetitor. So it is a generative sequencer that you can set the steps from 1 to infinite, and there's different scalings with major, minor, symmetrical. You can have even chromatic scaling, and you can just turn the knob and it creates these patterns automatically based on the scale that you select on the switches.
Oh, cool.
You can set the spread of which notes it's going to make over a 2-octave range.
Wow.
And then you have this offset which goes down or up. So you can select, if you have this set up all the way to 2 octaves, you could do 2 octaves down, or it starts here and it does 2 octaves down, or you could go 2 octaves up. So you could have like a 4-octave range of different notes that it would generate. You can also CV any of these parameters. So you could technically have 4 octaves going up and down, and it doesn't have any patterns that you save. So you turn it off, turn it back on, you're going to get new things. And every time you do make an adjustment, the pattern does change. But once you lock into like an 8-step pattern, it'll just repeat that 8-step pattern over and over. And then once you change it into a 12-step or 16-step or 32-step, then it remembers that pattern. But the moment you go infinite, it just creates infinite patterns based off of the scales that you have here. There's 4 inputs and 4 outputs. The outputs are trigger outputs, and you can also do CV outputs as well. And if you have different clocks that are being fed in on the left, then these are just offset the pattern that comes in on the right. So if you're doing like that the pattern's generating a CEGB, then you could have a fast CEGB here and then a slower pattern of CEGB or CEGB. So if you have it going every 16th step or every 16 beats, it'll create that same pattern in a slower sequence.
So what is the just so I understand, so what is the fundamental derivation of the melodic information in the first place? I mean, as you said, you just outlined a, C major 7 arpeggio, but what would it, what is the way that, how does it actually decide what melodic material to start with?
It's based on whatever your scale is set here. So like to the left is a major, there's 27 patterns total that it has.
Oh, I see.
And there is a form on our website. If you look in the manual, you'll see what all 27 patterns are. So let's say the middle, I can't remember off the top of my head, but that might be a 5-pattern sequence in the scaling.
I see.
And if you turn it all left, then it's just CEG. But if you move the one to the middle, now it's C, E flat G.
Right. Oh, I see. Major, minor. Okay.
Yeah,
I can see
and
that
that's saying
on there.
C in a sense of just, I should say first,
right,
flat, third, fifth.
It's always easiest to talk in C.
Yeah, because the root note is here, and you can set the root note to whatever you want.
That is so cool.
And then each of these have their own CV patterns as well. So there's also a mode where if you hold the reset button, so now it's going to create, if I speed up the pattern here, it's going to create notes for every click that it's getting in. But if you hold the reset button down, then it does a 50-50 probability. So now you're getting more intricate patterns that are blended in. So it's not just a constant straight feed. You're able to kind of do little hiccups and intricacies within each one of these, which really makes it really good for filling in melodic patterns and just like carrying so much more melody. Like I find myself using this and just turning this an octave of the down up. I turn that quite a bit. So then that way it kind of slews the high, it kind of turns to higher notes and lower notes, and it just brings a little more expression into what you do. But yes, it's all generative. There's no way to save the patterns at all.
Which is what makes it fun.
Exactly. Once you like the scaling, then you're good to go. You don't really, you kind of set and forget it in some way. And then it's just there to kind of give you that overall melodic feel of what you want for your patch. So that's Gamut repetitor.
Gamut repetitor, thank you. That's really cool.
Then we have 2 new modules that we released at the end of 2024 that we're showing. Taurus and Alia is a 3-operator oscillator. So you have these 3 different oscillators. You can set the frequency of each one of these based on where the switch is. So you'll see a 4, 12, and 24. So this will be like a 4-step range. If you that's the main, it's the main pitch. So you can turn the frequency on a 4-step range back and forth, or you can do a 1-octave range or 2-octave ranges up and down that way too. And then the phase modulation happens with the bottom. So as you turn the phase modulation, it's doing phasing, but it's also phasing the next oscillator. So they're all connected in some way together. And it's really good for doing drone music. A lot of people are using this to create these really nice, large, harsh, and brash, but also calm, just cinematic type of sounds, because with having the multi-operator oscillators, you're able to just create a lot more large soundscapes with it. But you can also keep everything straight and forward and do a fast melody from like Gamut, and you can use it just like any other oscillator as well.
Wow.
And it's all based on like sine waves and manipulations of that.
One of the real strengths of noise engineering, in my opinion, is the fact that these are all digital modules, right? And the result of that is that you have so much ability to design things that are far more complex than you could ever do with analog circuitry. And also, I was thinking when you were talking about like the 50-50 mode on the Gamut repetitor, I wonder whether that was an emergent idea that came out during the development of the thing, right? It's like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we would also be able to add this? And that's the kind of thing you can do when you're writing firmware, as opposed to trying to do it with analog hardware.
And we want to make things very tactile and playable. We don't want people to do a whole lot of menu diving.
Yeah, of course.
Like holding shift button and turning. Like we don't want too many things to where you have to bring out the manual every time you want to play it.
Exactly.
But we knew that the reset will do what a reset normally does. You reset and it starts over with that first step.
Yeah.
But there's this ability to hold it. And if people like to kind of go back and forth between the two, it's really easy to do, and there's not a lot of like remembering because it's just the one button there. Also, going back to Taurus, it's Alia is the platform. So we have 7 different modules that are under the Alia name.
Oh, I
like
see.
the Symbolus and Manus and Curses, Ataraxic, there's Debel. And so you're able to take out the module, plug in a micro USB on the back, swap out the firmware on our website. So now this module becomes a Symbolus, and this module becomes a Manus.
Oh, wow.
And this module becomes Debel, or however you want. So you're kind of getting 7 modules for the price of one. And it's also great because as we add more oscillators to the Alia platform, we make the firmware available immediately, so you can actually plug it in and you'll have it on the day it releases.
Wow.
And you can put it in your system and see if it's right for you. And then if you like it, you can get the hardware version.
Right.
Or you can just keep swapping. We also have overlays that you can put over this.
Oh, I was about to ask. That's great.
So you don't have to worry about unscrewing the panel, taking everything apart. You just flip it over the top. There's some over in the other case. You can flip it over the top, and it still sits in there really nice and snug, and then you can swap it out and put another one in, which is really nice.
It is so smart, and I feel like it's a very generous thing to do also for the people that are exploring your stuff, you know?
And it's good for sustainability, because then you're able to have several modules and only using this specific type of machine, like this amount of hardware. So the other one is Versio. The other one we released last month was Versio, and Versio is another platform where Alia is more of our oscillator platform that's mono. We have Versio, and the Versio line is just digital stereo effects. So this one is a formant filter.
Oh, interesting.
So you're able to take 2 separate formants. This one's based off of the A2 to A5 range, and this one's based off the E4 to E7 range.
Can we very briefly define what a formant is for some of the people that might not know?
It's in a simple way, it's like when you hear a filter that sounds like someone's talking, or a vocal type of sound. It creates these like humanistic type of frequency, or humanistic type of effects that you can almost make it sing in some way. And if you use a lot of the CV inputs for this, it almost does sound like it's talking back to you, which is really kind of fun.
Wonderful. That's so cool.
And it has a built-in LFO too, so you can speed up the LFO and it'll do a lot of more type of things, or slow it down completely. There's a more of a randomized LFO on the left side, or you can do more of a sine wave LFO on the right. and then you can speed up or slow down that internal LFO. And you can also patch in a clock. Then this becomes a clock divider and a multiplier as well.
I see.
And it's also, with the filter, it has Q, which is resonance, so you could have it self-running in some way by putting it all the way up, and it just creates its own sounds. And then, of course, we're noise engineering, when we love to put wave folders, and we love to make harsher kind of sounds with things. Of course. And you have the ability to do that with the fold knob that just does tons of wave folding, or you can keep it super clean. And there's also saturation that goes way high, or you can keep that nice and calm as well. So it can do really simple formant sounds, or you could just make it just go completely crazy by adding saturation, a high-speed LFO, maybe randomized LFOs, and if you CV some of that resonance, then you're just getting like a completely different sound that you really can't get with a lot of other formant filters. And the ability to make it stereo is really a powerful tool as well for spatial effects.
That's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Patrick, where can people find out more about noise engineering? Where are some shops that you have stuff where people could check that out hands-on? And where on the web can people find out about stuff?
Sure, we can go to noiseengineering.us, and you'll see all of our modules. And we have demo videos for everything we put out. We put that out on the same day, so it goes through the panel controls and gives you some jams that kind of make you feel like here it is in use for you, and maybe inspires you to patch on your own. And we also have a retailer list on our website, so you can go to like Perfect Circuit in LA, there's like Chuck Levin's in DC, and there's Control in New York, and we also go overseas, like Schneider's in Europe, and so just check the retailer list to see who is selling our gear, and give them a call or just send them a note, and they can get them for you if you have any issues with that. They should be able to serve it, because we have locations all over the world.
Incredible. Patrick from Noise Engineering, thank you. You guys make such interesting and unique and wonderful instruments. And thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Have a great show.
Yep, thanks.